let's rank our top 15 wings for the 2025 NBA draft. Yeah, I mentioned I think you guys are going to see this after the top 15 bigs, that I kind of messed up my timing leading up to the draft. So yeah, I would have loved to have done point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center, but I'm just going to lump these guys into wings. So the wings are going to be a little bit interesting just because I'm going to have guys that I think can play the shooting guard, small forward, power forward spot at the NBA level. Because some of these guys are going to be stretch fours. In the bigs that you may think could have been in wings, it's really just Conor Murray-Boyles because I think his offensive game is very big-esque at times. And I think it's pretty close to like a Derek Queen in some cases. So I do have I don't know. I may even do my top 20 wings because I got so many wings here. At least I'm gonna go through a bunch of honorable mentions at the end. So yeah, guys that I didn't talk about in the point guard episode. So like I had Jace Richardson in there. I don't know why I had RJ Lewis in there. I messed up there. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, wings I do have. Like VJ Edgecom will be here. Kipple, Trey Johnson. Trying to think anybody else like. Nobody's considered a big here. Like Carter Bryant's in here, Rasheed Fleming's in here, Clifford's in here. And yeah, I'm excited to break this down. It's a very good wing class. And I'm just going to go 1 to 15 for this one. So yeah, we're going to start off with the best player in this draft class overall, Cooper Flag. It kind of went viral. I made a short with Ryan Hammer, and we talked about the best, or Cooper Flag is the best prospect since. And I think the ones you have like a good debate on are 2019 Zion Williamson, which I think caused a lot of controversy. I think 2017 Markelle Fultz, and I think 2016 Ben Simmons. I don't know if Cooper Flag is better than all three of those guys as a prospect. You're obviously going to have a little bit of recency bias, but he's as close to a perfect prospect as you can get. There's a main question mark with Cooper Flag's three-point shooting coming into this year. And he kind of worked his shot a little bit, tweaked it a little bit. He ends up shooting 38% from three on 3.5 attempts, 48% from the field, 84% from the line on about 5.8 attempts, 19.2 points, 7.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists. 6'7", 7-foot wingspan, youngest player in this class because he reclassified at 18 years old, and he is somebody that can be a two-way superstar in this league. He is one of the very few guys, or he's one of the very few guys in this class that can be a top 5 player in the NBA one day because of his decision making, because of his elite defensive help, on-ball defense, post defense, transition defense. He could do it all. He's got great athleticism. And if he can master like a pull-up mid-range jumper, a pull-up three-point jumper where he's going to be in the top like 90 percentile in the NBA level, 80 percentile, he could be a true 25-point per game scorer. He can average 7 rebounds. He can average 4+ assists because he's a true point forward as well. He's a great free throw shooter. I mean, we saw at times, earlier in the year for Duke that he would not have great ball handling in the clutch and kind of struggled at times to be a clutch scorer. But hey, he was 17 years old when the season started. He was 18, and he's going to be 18 at the start of his NBA career. I think defense is on another level. Like I said, like elite in all aspects of the game. Maybe the lateral movement could be a tad bit better against quicker like twos if he gets switched on. But now we're nitpicking in Cooper Flag's game. He's not perfect, but he's definitely like probably the most balanced prospect in this draft class, and I'm taking him number 1 overall. There's no hot take about that. And he's a true franchise difference maker, and that's what that's what the Dallas Mavericks are hoping after they traded away Luka Doncic. They need like a young building block, and Cooper Flag is that guy. He could play point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. You could plug and play him wherever on both ends of the floor. Yeah, if he goes up against Joel Embiid, maybe it's going to be tough for him at first. Or who can really stop Joel Embiid and Jokic, right? But he's somebody that can kind of do it all. And if he's going to be an elite three-point shooter like this, like I said, 25 points per game is going to be maybe a little bit low for what he's going to be in his prime. So yeah, best player in this class would go number 1 in 24's class, 23, 22, 21, 2020, given what they were at prospects. He'd have a good debate with Zion. He'd have a good debate with Fultz and Ben Simmons in 16 and Cat in 15. But yeah, he's a true two-way superstar. All right, next up, I do have VJ Edgecom, which, yeah, this is like a really talented range right after Cooper Flag, where you're going to be talking about guys like, I don't know, we're going to get to Kipple, Trey Johnson, Ace Bailey. I have Edgecom as my second best wing in this draft. I'm using air quotes because you can definitely consider him a guard. Like I said, I did strict up point guards and all these guys that aren't going to be like, I think Edgecom could actually be like a 5-6 assist guy per night at the NBA level. He averaged 15 points, 5.5 rebounds, 3.2 assists last year for the Baylor Bears. 43% from the field, 34 from three, 78% from the free throw line. He's one of, if not the best athlete in this class. Chase down blocks, alley-oops, running in transition, posters. He can kind of do it all in that aspect of the game. And he's also extremely young. He's got good size. I believe he's 6'4" without shoes. He's got a 6'7.5" wingspan. And I feel like his downhill explosiveness can really make him a true, like, guy you need to look out at every aspect of this game, or he's going to put you on a poster. I think a big thing for him, pull-up jumper, consistent three-point shot. He struggled at least to start off the year, got a little bit better throughout the course of Big 12 play. 34% from three on really solid volume on over 153 attempts. I think he's going to be a good shooter. I trust the free throw shot to get better as well. Maybe just needs to be a little bit better of a ball handler sometimes. When he's driving down low, the help defender swipes at him, can maybe turn it over a little bit more than you would like. But if he could be a little bit better at the rim as well, Edgecom can be close to a 20-point per game scorer at the NBA level. It's interesting because it does feel like he's going to go 3 to Philadelphia, and I do have Edgecom third on my big board. I just don't know if he's going to have the best chance to grow with McCain, Harper, Grimes all there in Philly, and can he be a small forward out of the gate, or is that not going to be great for him because of his weight and strength? And that's going to get better like over the course of his career. But I do think he could be an elite point of attack defender one day. He could be an elite like isolation defender. And I do think he could be a very fun offensive player that can crash the glass, that can play make a little bit. It's really just the efficiency. Can he be somebody that's shooting 50+% at the rim, 40+% on mid-range jumpers, 35+% on three-point jumpers? Because if he can, he could be a two-way star in this league as well. He gets the Victor Oladipo comp. I like it. And I definitely could see him being a difference maker. And I like the upside a lot. So I have Edgecom as my number 2 wing in this class. Coming in at number 3, I do have Kipple, Cooper Flagg's teammate over at Duke. I originally had, I think, Trey Johnson, and I recently switched this out because I don't think there's a lot of weaknesses in Khan's game. Khan's about 6'5", 6'6" wingspan, Mr. Basketball in the state of Wisconsin, and he is the best shooter in this draft. Large sample size of high school shooting above 40% from three. He shot 40% from three this past year at Duke, 48% from the field, 91% from the free throw line, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. An elite shooter. And I honestly think he could be like a good secondary like scoring option. He's a great decision maker. He's got great basketball IQ. He knows his limitations, and I think he could fit in any offense at the NBA level. I wish he was 6'7". He's a little bit below it, but very like he's not the best athlete, but he plays with a lot of physicality. He's super strong, and honestly, he's got a dunk package to him as well. I think for him, like finishing at the rim is going to be a big aspect for him. And is he going to be a liability defensively just because of the lack of quickness? But I think he's going to be just fine. I think there's a lot of few weaknesses to Knipple's game. Edgecombe, even like guys like Trey Johnson and Ace Bailey have a better chance of being all NBA caliber players one day, where you're talking about the best 15 or 20 guys in the league. But I think Khan can also be an initiator. He could be somewhat of a backup, like lead ball handler as well out of the gate, and we saw that when Cooper Flagg went down last year in the ACC tournament, and he really stepped up. He's just everything you want in a modern-day wing. I think the odds of him being a bad shooter at the NBA level are so low. Quick release, it's perfect, honestly, and I think he's going to be an elite shooter like he was at college and high school at the NBA level. Philadelphia at 3, don't hate it. Charlotte at 4, don't hate it. Utah at 5, Washington at 6. I like Knippel a lot. He's my third ranked player in this draft, or no, he's my 4th ranked player in this draft class, 3rd ranked wing. I'm okay wherever he goes outside of, like, if he goes 3, I think he could fit a little bit better than VJ Edgecombe. Not as good of a defender or athlete as VJ, but I do think Knippel has a very high floor compared to everybody we've talked about so far outside of Cooper Flagg. So coming in at number 4 for me, I do have Trey Johnson of the Texas Longhorns. I was very high on Trey Johnson going into the year based off the high school numbers in the film and how good of a mid-range shooter he was in high school. Comes over here to Texas as like the main guy basically for the Longhorns this year. Finished the season just under 20 points per game at 19.9, 3.1 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 42, 39, 87 splits, but he's up there with Knippel as like the best shooter in this draft. His ability to move off the ball is like Jared McCain-esque from last year or 2 years ago at Duke. And I think like he, unlike maybe even Edgecombe a little bit, but more so Ace Bailey, who I have one spot later, Trey Johnson could be such a great player without the ball in his hands. I don't think he has like defensive upside like Edgecombe or Ace Bailey in this class. He definitely needs to get stronger, put on a little bit more weight, because he can get bullied inside. He's around like 190 pounds right now. But man, pull-up jumper is so good. Right on the baseline with the right hand off the dribble. He can attack closeout so well. He can move so well off the dribble. The pull-up shot, I think, is going to be great at the NBA level. It's just like, is he going to be a liability defensively, or can he use his quickness, his lateral agility to be just fine? Can he absorb contact on both ends, on offense and defense? And is that going to make him a mismatch on either end? And I just want him to be more consistent as a playmaker as well. little tunnel vision ish at last year at Texas, but like I said, was like the main guy over there. He's going to be more of a secondary guy if he's playing with LaMelo Ball or Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, or if he ends up playing with, I don't know though. If he ends up going to like Utah or Washington, he's going to get a lot of touches. If he ends up in Brooklyn as well, he's going to get a ton of touches. I just think the floor is so high with his 3-point shot, and he does have like 20-point per game potential at the NBA level. I just want to see him be a little bit better of a finisher at the rim. And can he be somebody that can guard threes? Because he can't guard fours. We'll see. But stronger defenders can have their way with Trey Johnson. I just think the shot is perfect, and he's a really good off-ball player. And I trust the off-ball decision-making and the on-ball decision-making more than Ace Bailey, who's coming in at number 6 for me, or excuse me, number 5. He's my 6th ranked prospect in this draft because I do have Dylan Harper number 2. But Ace Bailey, man, 46, 34-ish, 69 splits last year at Rutgers, 17 points, 7 rebounds. He's a player that has a 6'7 frame, a little bit light right now, 200 pounds, but a 7-foot wingspan, 18 years old when he's getting drafted. He's somebody, though, that there's going to be a project. Not a project, but you got to really be patient with Bailey because the high, like the top percentile that he could become in the NBA level is a top 10 player in the league. He can average 25 points. He can get to his spots, and he's going to be one of the best mid-range shooters in the league. But if he doesn't improve the decision-making, the shot selection, the playmaking, the handle, I do think, the handle is great for somebody at his size, but it's still not a great handle, which I think we have to remember. Like, if he's putting the ball down, going to the rim, the high bounce, it's going to get swiped out a lot by smart defenders, quicker defenders, more physical defenders at the NBA level. But man, catch and shoot from the mid-range, coming off of like a flare screen or running a floppy action, he can excel. And I wonder, I've always been going back and forth. What's the best fit? Is it in Philadelphia where they could be patient with his development? He doesn't need to take a bunch of bad shots right away. And when Embiid and Maxey are out there, not a lot of people will be focusing on Ace Bailey. Or is it in Washington or Utah where he is the main guy going forward and he's going to have the chance to grow as a number one? Either way, I think there's a lot of risk, a lot of boomer bust potential in Ace Bailey. I do think he still has a high floor in a way. I just think the size, the handle at the size, the mid-range shooting, he can still be a good scorer at the NBA level. I just trust Kipple, Johnson, and Edgecom to be better players. I just think if there's a chance one of these guys flames out, it is Ace Bailey. But Ace Bailey could be better than... I think there's a better chance Ace Bailey is the best player in this class than anybody else not named Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper, 100%. I just think you got to worry about him a lot, and you have to make sure that he can grow on both ends of the floor because he has the potential to be a really good player. I think the playmaking is a little bit better than people give him credit for. It's still not great. He's coming in at number 5 for me, number 6 player in this draft. I'm not going to hate on Philly for taking him at 3. I don't love him in Charlotte. Those guys do not complement each other very well. 5, Utah, 6, Washington. Maybe a team trades up to 3 or 4 to select him. I think depending on where he gets drafted is where I'm going to view him as going forward, and is probably going to be somebody I'm going to change in my big board after the draft. All right, so coming in at number 6, a little bit of a tier drop off. I think Cooper Flagg's tier 1, Edgecom, Kipple, Johnson, Ace Bailey tier 2. We're going to start tier 3 with Carter Bryant. I really like the Carter Bryant tape. He was a guy that's similar in a way to Drake Powell, stand in the corner. We're going to ask you to take a lot of spot up threes, a lot of pull up threes, or catch and shoot threes, not more so pull up. And we need you to play defense. We need you to guard 3s, 4s, 5s. And he did that, I think, at an extreme level for somebody that didn't play a ton. So you're coming off the bench and you're kind of throwing him sometimes in the high leverage moments. Started 5 games this past year at Arizona. Only averaged 6.5 points, 4 rebounds. Somebody that's not tuned into the draft and say he goes I don't know, say he goes 7 to New Orleans and it's a shocker. That's the highest maybe he goes. And somebody that's not tuned in, that's a Pelicans fan, is we drafted somebody that averaged 6.5 points, 4 rebounds. What is Joe Dumars doing? But honestly, I think Carter Bryant is going to be a better player in the NBA than guys like Jeremiah Fears. I think he's going to be a better player long-term than Colin Murray-Boyles, than Derek Queen, than Essen. He's fairly high on my big board. He's a fringe top 10 player in this class. He was a great spot-up shooter. He was a great defender last year for the Wildcats. And I think where he's going to have, I think, a chance to have more shots, more offensive creation opportunity at the NBA level. I just don't think Tommy Lloyd really got the most out of him. I wish we got to see him be a little bit more as an isolation guy, initiator last year at Arizona. But I think the floor is also pretty high for Bryant. I know the numbers weren't great, but he's fairly young, right? Like his age is he's 19 years old at the start of next year's season, but he's ready on the defensive end of the floor. And if he goes to a team like Toronto or Houston or even New Orleans, where there's a lot of good high usage offensive players on those teams, Brian is going to get so many good looks on the perimeter right away. And I hope we could see him be more of a downhill guy. I think he's going to be a good 3-point shooter. Would like for him to be a little bit better at the line, because if he's going to be more aggressive with his strength and size, he's going to get to the free throw line a ton, and that's where he can make a lot of his money as well. If he can become a good free throw shooter, would like to see him move a little bit better, finding spots a little bit more quicker without the ball in his hands, and can maybe just work on the handle. But I think he's going to be a great defender. I think he's going to be a great spot up shooter. So I'm already looking at like a 3-and-D stretch 4 role player in this league at a high level. Can he be something more than that? And I think that's the big swing for Carter Bryant this year, coming in at number 6 for me. Coming in at number 7, I do have Noah Essen playing at Rasheed Farm this past year with Ben Seraph. They made it pretty far. I think they're still going on actually over there in the German league. And yeah, Essen just measured in 6'10" without shoes. Are you kidding me? He's the second youngest guy in this class, 18 years old, after Cooper Flagg. He's got a 6'11" wingspan, about 200 pounds right now. Needs to put on weight for sure, get a little bit more stronger. But I like the defensive feel. Moves well off screens, can kind of get over screens right now. And I think he moves well without the ball in his hands. He's a great cutter, great slasher. I didn't rank like 14th in my way too early mock draft last year / big board. I think he's still around that range. So I think he's lived up to the expectations. I think he moves very well at his size. And I think a big thing for him is going to be the 3-point shot. Somebody that shot 29% from 3 this past year at Rasheed Farm. And on about 1.9 attempts. The form doesn't look too bad. I think that's like the big thing for him. If he develops a shot, can he be like a Jeremy Grant, Jaden McDaniels? I see those comps all the time. And he could be somebody in that tier if he can develop a consistent jumper, because he can get good looks. He can put the ball on the ground. And I think his just length and wingspan can allow him to finish over a lot of NBA, a good NBA defenders as well. I think he's a good team defender, good help defender. And I think he's at the worst, like an elite defender as a 4 or a 3 in this league, but he could be so much more as a in NBA rankings if he can actually become a more skillful guy around the rim, can crash the glass a little bit better and become more of a 3-point shooter. I think there's a lot of upside. And hey, we've talked about Edgecom, Johnson, Bailey, Carter Bryant, Essen. There's a lot of high upside, I guess very low downside, or low downside, high downside wings, you should say, boomer bust guys. And Essen, it matters a lot for where he's going to get drafted to. And I think there's a lot of like uncertainty with like a lot of these guys in this class, which is going to make them more appealing because of like the what if they can be overall. So next up, I do have Cedric Howard, who fits that tier perfectly. He's coming in at number 8 for me. So he played 2 years at Eastern Washington. Before that, he played D3 basketball, was off to a great start this year, 55 splits or 55% field goal percentage, 40% from 3, 83% from the free throw line, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 3.7 assists. And then he gets hurt. He's out for the year, but he's got freak-like measurements. He's 21 years old, almost 22. He's 6'6", he's 6'6". He can play the 2, can play the 3, could be a stretch 4. Great size, good physicals right now. He plays hard. He fights over screens. He can guard well in the post. A great frame. I think you're looking at a 3-and-D wing here. And I don't think Howard will or should go in the top 10. I think he's got a lower ceiling, higher floor than some of these other guys we've talked about, like Essen and Bryant. But I think Cedric Howard is that 3-and-D wing you're looking for in the modern NBA. 40% from 3. On a smaller sample size, but 39% from 3 2 years ago at Eastern Washington, 38% from 3 in 2024 on his biggest sample size of his career at Eastern Washington. I just feel like he has a very high floor. He's going to be a great defender. He's going to be a good shooter. And I like the spot up mid-range jumper as well. He can create his own shot. But I do think he's like, for somebody that has a high floor, that's a little bit older, he does, I think, have a little bit of room for growth given his progression in his career with more eyes looking at him and bigger moments. And I think there's a lot of fun fits in this draft if you're going to take him at like 11 if you're Portland, all the way to like 22 if you're Atlanta. I can't see him going outside the top 22. Coming in at number 9, one of my favorite players to watch in this draft cycle, Clifford of Colorado State. Clifford could have been a fringe first rounder last year in the weaker 2024 draft. He decides to stay another year at Colorado State. He averages career highs across the board, 19 points, 9.5 rebounds for the 6'5" wing with the 6'8" wingspan, 4.5 assists, about 50% from the field, 37% from three, 77% from the free throw line. If you watched his tape from like game 1 to the last game of the year against Maryland, the shot selection gets better, the physicality, the decision making, the downhill scoring, the pump faking ability, playing off of 2 feet. Clifford got so much better across the course of the 2025 season. He plays with so much pace. I've said it multiple times, and now that the Pacers traded 23, it's not going to happen, but screams Indiana Pacer. Would love to see him in Atlanta at 13 or 22. He can get up and down, and he can finish at the rim, and he can crash the offensive glass on a miss from him, or if a teammate misses it, he's crashing the glass as well. But he can also get back defensively also. He's about 200 pounds. Would like for him to get a little bit stronger, like some of these guys we talked about, Trey Johnson. We'll get to Will Riley. I think these guys need to be a little bit more physical on the defensive end of the floor, maybe even McNeely. But I do feel like he's just a great connecting piece at the NBA level, and I do feel like he's going to be an elite shooter as well. And I would definitely take Clifford in the top 20. All right, to kick off, or to wrap out the top 10, I do have Rasheed Fleming, who spent this past year at St. Joe's. So he played in the A10. Fleming, 14.7 points, 8.5 rebounds, 53% from the field, 39% from three, 74% from the free throw line in his true junior season. 4.5 3-point attempts this year. So pretty good volume. Insane athlete. He's got a 7'5" wingspan, a 9 foot, I believe 1 or 4, I think 9'4" standing reach at 6'8". He does need to put on a little bit of weight, around 220, 230 pounds right now. If he does, I think he could be like a floor spacing 5. Because of that wingspan, he could be like somewhat of a Jonathan Isaac at the NBA level, but a better 3-point shooter as well. He's a great athlete. He can finish inside around the rim. He can protect well as a help defender, and I think he can help out a lot on that end of the floor because of the wingspan, because of the quickness to get and just try to force loose balls. And I think there's a chance he could be like just a great help defender at the NBA level because of his quickness, his first step, and he's able to just track down guys as maybe somebody that is not close to the ball at the moment. I do think there's sometimes he gets a little overzealous out there, makes some bad mistakes, but I think he's a very fun prospect for sure. I think there's a chance if, he forces a lot of looks. He doesn't get the ones he wants. He shoots 31% from three. The defense is not what it needs to be. And he doesn't get more physical down low. Yeah, he's gonna maybe flame out in the NBA, but I don't think so. I think Rasheed Fleming is a great athlete. He's got a ton of potential, and I think he's getting overlooked in this class. I think Rasheed Fleming should go in the top 20. I think there's a chance he falls outside the top 20 after hearing and reading everything right now, which I think would be a little bit blasphemy. We're going to stay on the topic of high upside wings right now, and that is going to be Will Riley of Illinois. Riley's coming in at number 11 for me. 12.5 points last year, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 43% from the field, 32% from three, 72% from the free throw line. He was forcing shots at times, and the efficiency isn't going to be great on the surface level, but man, I think the form is great. He's about 6'8", 6'9", and I think Riley is somebody that has a real chance at being like this creative 3-level scorer at the NBA level. I do think he's got to need a little bit of time of development for sure. I think like Orlando was a really fun fit before they traded out of pick 16. But I just think that Will Riley is somebody that, yeah, you need to work on the shot. I think the G League will help for him. He's got about a 6'8" wingspan, so his wingspan isn't great compared to like some of the other guys around him. He needs to put on weight, needs to be more physical because the defense is not great at the moment. But I like the mid-range jumper. I think he's very crafty. He's just somebody that like, if he doesn't get to the spots he wants, if he doesn't develop good shot selection and can be serviceable defensively, he's going to be in the G League for a lot of his career, for sure. He may play overseas, but man, if he puts it all together, if he can get a little bit better mid-range, a little bit better from three, and a little bit better at the free throw line, just a little bit better, he can really be one of the more higher upside guys in this draft. I think he really showcased better on-ball creativity late in the year over there at Illinois, where Kasparis was kind of a little bit more of an off-ball guy, but I do feel like the playmaking feel is there, and I do feel like Just if he could put it all together, the shooting consistency, the body frame, he can really be a fun player in this league because of his size and shot creating ability. But you got to be patient. I don't think Will Riley's going to be a great player right away. It's going to take some time, but I would definitely take him in the top 25, 100%. Let's talk about somebody that played at Montverde with Cooper Flag, Liam McNeely. Liam McNeely at one point this year was looked at like number 6, number 7 in mocks, maybe as recently as like January. And then after his injury, he kind of struggled at times. He's about 19 years old, 6'8", 6'8" wingspan, 214 pounds, quicker than Kipple, but definitely not as strong on that end of the floor. But I think McNeely moves very well without the ball in his hands. I trust the jumper to bounce back to what it was this past year before like February and March for him. He ended up shooting 38% from the field, 31% from three, but an elite 86% from the free throw line, 14.5 points, 6 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Also, I thought did a good job at getting to the free throw line as well. And I just think if you can buy the shot just being where it was before the injury and before February, he's going to be a top 5 shooter in this class. But hey, when a shooter cannot shoot well, that's a little risky to take in the lottery, for sure. And I don't think McNeely's going to go in the lottery. I'd be very surprised if he does. I think he needs to get a little bit more physical. And I think the quickness can help him get over screens, but I think he needs to get a little bit better than that on the defensive end of the floor. I think there's a lot of fun fits mid to late first round. I think Atlanta 22, Utah 21, Miami at 20, if they're going to move on from some of their shooters, Orlando at 25, Brooklyn at 26, 27. He's definitely going in the first round. You have to really believe that the shot is going to bounce back, which I believe it will. But I just think there's limited upside compared to like Riley, Fleming, who we talked about before. So yeah, McNeely's coming in at number 12 for me. Another one of my favorite watches this past year, like when you're watching Cooper Flag, when you're watching Kipple, I really enjoyed watching Seion James over there at Duke as well. One of the more physical players in this class. Seion James averaged 8.5 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 51% from the field, 41% from 3, 81% from the free throw line. Really encouraging shooting numbers. He's extremely physical. He's one of the strongest guys in this class. He spent 4 years at Tulane where he started to become more of a high usage guy offensively. Then he becomes back into like this connecting 3-and-D piece at Duke, which is what he's going to be at the NBA level. So I think it really served him up to be kind of perfect in that role when he gets to the next level. I think Seion James would 100% go in the top 35. And if I see Brooklyn take him, if I see Orlando take him, Boston, Phoenix, or the Clippers take him in the late first round, I'm all on board with that. I do have a top 30 grade on Seion James in this class. I just think it's a very deep wing class, but I think he can guard 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. He's got the physicality to guard 4s. He's got the quickness to guard 1s. And a big thing for him, can he shoot the ball? If he can't shoot the ball, is he like Andre Roberson 2.0, basically? Maybe not as good of a defender, but I think he's disciplined out there. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes on the defensive or offensive end, and he can run the floor in transition. He's got really solid touch at the rim for somebody as like strong and physical as he is. And he's one of my favorite like role-playing prospects in this draft. And I think somebody similar to Seion James, who's coming in at number 14, I got to do Theo over there at Arkansas. Theo spent 2 years at Kentucky. He followed Calipari to Arkansas, where he kind of broke out for this team. John L. Davis was supposed to be like kind of this role specifically, and he struggled a lot. But Theo, 54% from the field, struggled from 3 at 25%, 68% from the free throw line, averaged 15 points, 6 rebounds, but he's a great defender, and that's one of his calling cards as well. He's close to a top 5 defender in this draft right now. Based on potential, you may have like somebody like Hugo Gonzalez or Noah Penda over Theo, but he can like anticipate passing lanes, get off and running, and I think there's a little bit of like Lou Dort in a way in Theo's game. Maybe a little bit of OJ Anunoby, Herb Jones, like those top end wing defenders. You have to think the shot could hold him back from being like an effective 3-and-D player at the NBA level, but he can guard 1 through 4 with the wingspan, the IQ, the movement, and I think he just plays with a high competitive motor as well, and he should also be a first-round pick. I think for every spot I mentioned for Seion James, I also love Adu Theo. They're very close for me, so you're kind of splitting hairs at that point. And then coming in at number 15 for me, I have Noah Penda, who playing at Le Mans this past season in the French League. 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.4 steals, 30% from 3. Not showing the full picture there, but I do feel like Noah Penda is one of the better, more physical defenders in this draft class. And he's somebody that maybe takes a little bit of time for him to adjust at the NBA level. 20 years old, I think when you get him reps, he can really be somebody that can guard 1 through 4, guard in the post, can be a great transition defender. You can switch on anybody and he's going to be just fine. And I wonder because of his quickness and first step, like he could be just a smart enough, like smooth enough guy to fit and plug and play in offensive schemes. So I just think, yeah, like he's a glue guy. He's like, he's just kind of like a good role player. And I think at 6'8", 225, at 20 years old, and coming over to the NBA, it's going to take a little bit of time, but maybe even year 2 of that contract, he's going to be more of a defensive prowess guy, like have defensive prowess out there. Like I said, guard multiple positions, and that 3-point shot comes around, which I like the jumper. Got a little bit of a pull-up game too. He's going to be just fine. High IQ wing. I like him more than like Pacome Daddier. I think I even like him more than Tijon Salon of last year as well, watching him at Cholet. So that is going to be my top 15. To recap it, I do have Cooper Flagg 1, VJ Edgecom 2, Con Kipple 3, Trey Johnson 4, Ace Bailey 5, Carter Bryant 6, Noah Essengay 7, Cedric Howard 8, Nick Clifford 9, Rasheed Fleming 10, Will Riley 11, Liam McNeely 12, Seion James 13, Adu Thero 14, Noah Penda 15, who just missed the cut. I gave my top 25 wings. I just didn't want to make this too long. I do have Chaz Lanier, who just missed the cut, taking him in the top 35. Absolute gamer, 3-and-D guy. Hugo Gonzalez at 17. You're really buying into the potential. Solid defense on tape right now. About 6'6", like 220 pounds for a teenager. You hope he can grow, have some type of offensive game on the perimeter, because he can use that physicality inside already. Drake Powell at 18. I think doesn't have a lot of offensive upside, but he could be a great defender. Kobe Bray at 19, one of the best shooters in this class from Kentucky. Alex Tui from Australia at 20. I think a good swingman as well. Brooks Barnheiser from Northwestern at 21. Elijah Martin from the national champions Florida Gators at 22. John Chanje from Wisconsin at 23. Jameer Watkins from Florida State at 24. And Dink Pate at 25. Yeah, I got Colin Murray Boyles over in the big episode, so go check that out. If that came out, maybe this comes out before then, so maybe don't check that out just yet. So make sure you're subscribed on audio and YouTube to be on the lookout for that. I'm going to have a top 75 big board. Yeah, top 75. I'm going up from, I think, 35 last year to 75 this year over on the Strauss channel. So be on the lookout for that. Hoping to get that out Sunday, but we'll see. And thank you guys all for watching and listening. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.